broad skill set that we've got at the moment is amazing. We've basically got somebody that could just about build anything.
Our system was such that we would just roll out these stores, and that was local stuff that we'd fabricated locally, that we were sending all over the country.
We've got a lot of industrial buildings, we've got a lot of service stations and fast food, and yeah, we're building 20-storey buildings. But that's not how we started.
Graham and I worked together on a project I was developing in Cardiff Industrial Estate, and Graham worked on the office block while I got the factory built, and it grew from that.
Hilton's background had been in landscaping and obviously in some property development, so he just needed somebody to come along and help to deliver the buildings, and obviously we'd worked together a bit before that, so he came and asked me whether I'd be interested, and I said, yeah, why not? Give it a go.
I reckon that in 1991 I was probably in about year 10, maybe even less. We ran into Hilton, and Hilton said, what do you do? And I said, well, nothing, I'm going to go to uni. And do what? Construction management. And he said, you don't need to go to uni to learn about how to build. And he said, I'll see you Friday. He'd ring this bloke, which was Graham's number. So I rang Graham, and that was it. Started that Friday, and here we are, 25 years later.
Hunter Land was about 1991, 92, and Graham was doing the building work for Hunter Land. Cardiff Industrial Estate, when we started, hadn't had any development for the previous 10, 15 years. Between 1989 and 1991, we doubled the size of it.
There was a lot of demand for completed buildings, not just blocks of land. So I think basically Hilton said, well, you build them, Graham, I've got the land. How about you come on board and you build them, and we'll see how this all goes. We probably built 4 or 5 the next year, 7 or 8 the year after, 10 to 15 the year after. This actual site here was where we've actually had our first ever office block. So that was probably about 5 years.
Little side office, little portable office.
Yeah. He was a goer. He was a doer. Like he definitely was somebody that would get the job done. There was, and he was very driven, and still is, to succeed. He was, and I think that's what he liked about me. I'm similar in that I like to get the job done. And the first project that we did together really was Trend Windows at Cardiff. I don't know whether Hilton had his tongue firmly in his cheek when he said this is the completion date, but I think he might have been surprised when we actually delivered it. And that was the first impression, I suppose, is he was very driven. He had a determination to get things done, and I quite like that as well myself.
So the first project that I worked on for Graham and Hilton was Laminex Industries at Cardiff. And what did I do? I was armed with a shovel, a broom and a wheelbarrow, and I just walked the sites and clean up. I think then I graduated to being able to goop a Hebel panel.
Yeah, well, Jono's father, Jeff Craig, was an engineer that had worked very closely with us for many years. He had 2 sons, one went into law and the other one went into building. Obvious when Jono was doing building at university that he came and worked with us, and never went away. When we started, when Graham and I started, we had our utes, which we were the office, and then we got a little portable office, and we moved it around until we ended up at Thornton. We started Thornton Industrial Estate in 1996. As we were totally running out of the land we had available. Thornton Industrial Estate, of course, was the big one, and it grew bigger than Cardiff. We ended up the largest user of concrete in the valley. It was inevitable that one day we woke up and built our own batching plant and went from there.
Today here we're at Thornton plant, and that was our first plant. In fact, it was one of the first buildings that was built here in the industrial estate at Thornton. We set out in the beginning, it was about taking a degree of control of some of our major inputs, but it was around about the same time that we started not only producing concrete, but we were also started our own steel fabrication business and our own precast business as well. So a lot was happening then. It's as much about the quality and the efficiency that comes from that integration.
When things came along, like when we got into the concrete panels, we already were set up with the supply for the materials in the concrete. It was just natural progression. We never had a big business plan. It just grew.
By then we delivered a lot of projects, and we're starting to get quite a bit of inquiry from other owner builders that were wanting somebody to build for them. It's clearly there was an opportunity to develop another business, and that's really how GWH was formed. When the GWH concept came about with discussions that Hilton and I were having about that potential of doing some external building construction work, we were set out to look around Newcastle to find somebody to head up the GWH team, and that's when Wayne came to me recommended. Chevalier Building Services and GWH came together as one company. It was well received by those out in the industry that were looking to build their own buildings, and they'd seen what we were able to achieve and they wanted to be a part of it, and that's really why GWH developed, and we continue to do that today.
I think Graham just gave me a call and said, hey, call in, we're going to have a chat to you, and we started this, GWH, and we'd like you to come work in the office. And I remember when I first started, they were handwriting the quotes, so I was new age and could actually use a computer.
We were always on the lookout for how to do it better. Blowing out the time in any project is a sure way to blow out the costs, because time is, let's face it, one of your biggest costs. And the day that we can't find a better way to do things is the day we should give it away.